Welcome back to another edition of our Cornhusker Conversation. Today we welcome in Husker quarterback Adrian Martinez. Let's just start with where you're at right now, man. This has been a topsy-turvy roller coaster of a season. I know you kind of internalize things and handle things, pretty well. Let's just start with how you're holding up.
Yeah, well, I can't complain. I'm thankful to be here, really, and glad to be around the guys that I am, and we're going to keep plugging away. There's still time left in this season. Aiming to make a bowl game, and I'm really just focused on that.
Let's start with kind of where you've gone for the hard times. Is it home? Do you have a friend on the team that you go to? I mean, you're kind of learning right now what it's like to be quarterback at Nebraska.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I would say it's a combination of people. There's a lot of people who really love and support me, and I'm thankful for that. I have a good group of friends, and obviously my teammates included in that. The coaches have been great, and then my family is always there.
Last year, you learned what it was like being a college athlete. Just everything was new to you. This year is probably a different set of learning for you. What have you learned this year that you've kind of take with you to make yourself a better football player, but more importantly, a better man?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that I think I've had to learn and kind of overcome. I feel like I've grown a lot as a person this season. Not that I haven't had adversity in my life, but this is kind of a different sort of adversity, a different type of test, and I think I've ultimately prevailed, and just gotten closer with my faith and just done a lot of other things that I think have been really good for my life, and taking a step back and realizing that and having the people around me is I think it's been good for the long run.
There's an image that I have of you that's going to stick with me for a long time. We're kind of trudging through the locker room after that Colorado game, and everyone in that locker room just trying to figure out what the heck happened. And I think everybody, that was really the first time this season where we're like, man, this thing might not go exactly how we think it was. When you think back to maybe not that moment in particular, but early in the season where you knew there was going to be some speed bumps, how did you just approach that mentally, knowing that you're going to have a lot of guys looking up to you and you were going to probably set the tone what those meetings and those practices were like following those tough moments?
Yeah, well, when the team voted me captain, I took on that leadership role, and I wanted to be there for those guys, regardless of any losses or bumps in the road. That's part of the journey, it's part of the process, and just keep plugging along, and that was kind of my main message, and I just wanted to be one with the coaches and one with the team, and really just keep encouraging guys to continue to push, regardless of what happens, keep fighting.
You were also one of the representatives of us in Chicago at Media Days. That feels like forever ago now that was the case. But, going back to that summer, Adrian, and trying to prepare yourself for what was going to happen, I think the ultimate lesson is you can't really prepare yourself for what's going to happen. But when you go back to that time, what was the mindset of the season and what you wanted out of it other than just the wins and winning the West and all that?
Yeah, well, looking back, that's obviously always going to be our mindset, winning the Big Ten West and having a successful season. And part of that's already out of the equation at this point, but we can still win 2 games. We still have 2 games left to make it to a bowl game, and I'm very optimistic about where we are right now.
Being away from home is something that you're having to deal with too. You're all the way in Nebraska. How are the parents back home dealing with this, and you being away from home and having to watch you on TV and do interviews like this and whatever. This is the time they get with you. How have they kind of embraced what your new life is like?
Yeah, well, I think it's been an adjustment for them, but for me, I feel like I've done a pretty good job being here, being away from family, and they were actually here this last game, and I got to spend some time with them, so that's always nice. But it's been tough at times, I think, for them, just being far away from me, especially going through hard times here. But they found a way to stay involved and stay in contact, and again, I'm thankful for them.
Let's go all the way back to Adrian Martinez starting to play football or just sports. And I know you're obviously a big basketball player in high school too. What was it about just the competitive nature, maybe growing up, friends or whatever it was that just drew you to sport or any particular football or basketball or any of those?
Well, ever since I can remember, really, I was playing some sort of sport and just wanting to run around and play football. I started playing tackle football when I was 7 years old, so it's been a part of my life for a really long time, and I still find that joy in it, and that's what keeps me going and keeps me happy, keeps me playing the game I love. It's just always been a part of me, always been something I can connect with my dad with, and just love playing the game.
When did you start taking it seriously, as in, this is something I could do at the next level? Some people realize it when they're seniors in high school, some people when they're in sixth grade. For you, when was that moment that you're like, I need to start putting some focus and some real training into this because it could be good for me?
Yeah, well, even when I was 7 years old, I always wanted to play in college. I always kind of took it pretty seriously, while having fun, of course. But I'd say probably in middle school was the time. I want to make it Division I, somewhere in some sport. So I was playing everything.
Who did you emulate? You're in the backyard, and you go watch a game on TV, and you're going outside and pretending to be out in Clovis. Who was your guy?
Yeah, well, I always loved Donovan McNabb growing up. In addition to that, Michael Vick was the guy. I had a Mike Vick football, and there's a lot of different quarterbacks, and just NFL in general, I just went crazy for it.
What would you, when you come here and you got, guys from Wandale's from Kentucky and JD's from Minnesota, and you got these guys from different parts of the country, and they're like, well, what was California like? What was playing high school football in California like? What do you tell them?
Well, I can't speak to playing down south, in the Los Angeles area, and where I think it's probably tougher than the Central Valley where I'm from. But the only thing I can say is really, our weather's better than theirs, and that's about it. I try not to talk about anything else. Football talk's football talk. Everyone thinks they have the best high school football. So
one thing that's cool to me, and I see it kind of floating around, from different people, is, you've done a lot of different things with teammates that maybe you haven't done before in your life. Go hunting, going around, doing things. What's that been like? Just kind of diversifying yourself into, what other teammates that they like to do in their parts of the country, and introducing that to you.
Exactly. Coming from California and just having a pretty decent home life, and I got the opportunity to do a lot of different things, but not some of the things I've already done out here. I think that's been the coolest part, is just having new opportunities, new experiences, and really getting to branch out with teammates, doing things that they like to do, and finding new things to go out and do.
It's also fun to see, pictures online or whatever of, sometimes when you guys are so isolated as position groups, you're just with the quarterbacks, the linebackers, O-line are their own different breed, but you kind of branch out. I know Barrett Pickering, a kicker, is a roommate of yours, and a guy that you spent, you're kind of all over the map. What's that just say about this team, about, there isn't really the cliques, or maybe there is, but, you guys not just hanging out with your own position group, but to get to know everybody on the team? Yeah,
I think that's a unique thing about this team, and a cool feature that we have. A lot of guys like to hang out with a lot of different guys, whether it be the offensive line, quarterbacks, tight ends, receivers, whoever it may be. I think we all kind of just find a way to hang out with each other, and that's a cool thing. We all kind of live next to each other, so it's always fun to hang out with guys on the team, especially ones you don't see every single day, you know what I mean? So
there's a couple of guys I want to ask you about that are in your position group, and to me, it's always really, on the sideline watching your interaction with Noah after every drive. A pick, a touchdown, whatever. He's always the first one out there for you, and I know you've had to kind of be that too for him and for Luke too. Just that dynamic between Noah and adopting a new guy and Luke out there too. What's that been like this year? Having Noah's just such an interesting story because of the UCF connection. But what's those relationships with those guys like? Whether you're the one out there or you're the one on the side.
Yeah, I'm just thankful to have that quarterback room. We're such a close group. We all support each other. We all love each other and want each other to succeed. And I think that's not always the case, across the country. And you're right. Noah's always the first guy there, or whoever it may be that game. They're always trying to help me, give me feedback. We have good, healthy conversations on the sideline about what they're seeing out there. And they understand, they get it. And again, just something I'm thankful to have those guys as teammates and friends,
It's been fun sitting down with you, man. Let's go finish this thing out the right way. Go get a happy flight home. Let's go do that with Maryland. Thanks, man.
Thank you.